dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in the daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. Our word is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group. Changed my whole perspective. Our success group, community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. And with the support of our success group, we're taking flight. Our word is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rising Tide Talks. Excited to be here tonight. I'm Kylene Montgomery with Rise, Shine, Smile.
I'm Becky Kutzer with BK Custom Tees.
And I am Aaron Montgomery with our Success Group. And we are here to inspire you guys to fall deeper in love with your business. Exciting times here. Everybody's busy. It's that time of year. And so, we're living it just like you guys are. And so we're excited to dive into this topic here today, though. And I think we're going to really dig deep into the niche idea, right? Focusing on a niche, your market, your ideal customer, whatever you want to call it. Last week, we had 3 different topic ideas that we threw out there. Kylene threw a post over in the Facebook group, and we actually had a tie for 2 over in the Facebook group, at least last time I checked. But then we had some votes that were live last week on air. So that took us over the top for finding your niche this week, you guys. So, Becky, exciting to have you along. I know you're really busy, but we want the viewers to engage, don't we?
We do. We would love to have you guys comment and let us know how you guys run your business, if you've gotten yourself into that niche system to streamline your business.
There you go. There you go. And in a way, Becky, just looking what you've got going on in your business, I think you've really leaned into your niche, and it seems to be working here. So good problem to have, but a challenge nonetheless. Right?
Sometimes I think it is, and the next day I second guess myself, but I think that's just life. So
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Kylene, when we are, having some overwhelm or just in general, what's a superpower that we can tap into?
So gratitude. So if we're feeling a little overwhelmed right now with how busy our business is, we could turn that into, I am so grateful for all the sales of my business. It's just a way to kind of help us bring more positive energy and focus on the good instead of focusing our energy on the problems, right? So we're training our brain to look for the good with gratitude. So if you guys are listening, or those of you that are listening, please share what you're grateful for here today. We want to bring as much positive energy as we can to our show tonight. I can start today. I am really, really grateful for just having the ability to have tough conversations at times. It just really helps to get clarity and move forward. And as much as I would like to avoid them sometimes, it's really important to have. So I'm just really grateful for having that ability to trust
Love it.
myself. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Let's bring Sarah's in here. She says, I'm grateful for my support team. That is awesome. And while we're doing some gratitude, you guys also take a moment. Sarah, you've just shared yours. So take a moment, get out there and share this with others. Let's get some more folks tuned in live here with us. Make sure you are sharing this show and this program, and whether you're tuning in on YouTube or on Facebook, either way. So let me share Karen's here real quick. I'm grateful for being in business for nearly 30 years. Congratulations.
Wow, that's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Becky, I'll go next since I normally get to be the one that goes last and steals from everybody. So I'll give you that opportunity this time. I am grateful for clarity. I'm just feeling really clear about what I was put on this earth to do, and I'm trying to do it as out loud as I can. So I've got a session tomorrow that I get to be part of and sharing the Entrepreneur. It's kind of fun program that's happening tomorrow, and getting to be a speaker on that. Plus, I just plan on being tuned in and learning from all the other speakers. So I'm grateful for that clarity that allows me to be so passionate and excited about it. Right? There's a lot to do, and so at times you go, "Oh my gosh, I have to do all this," but then I realize, no, wait a second, this is awesome that this is what I was put on this earth to do, and I get to do it. So. That is my gratitude. Long explanation, but
I love that. That's great.
Yes, I love that too. I am very grateful for the tools that I have been learning in the last few years. Probably this last year. How long has it been since I've been part of masterminds? I guess that was the question. The last year for sure.
Yeah, year plus. We'll go
plus,
with
year plus. There's just been so many things that have helped build my business and move it forward. And the last couple of weeks, it's just been chaos in my office. And so this morning I cleaned my desk. I know Tanya talked about doing that. Her and I had a conversation about that, and she had a post about it. And man, it really did just help a little bit today. I have my planner sitting in front of me, although the last couple of days have been blank again. It's there, and I found it, I should say, again this morning. So, but just those tools that are there, that we have, that we can lean on each other for, and use those to get that clarity and to get that business moving forward. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Good job.
Good deal. All right. Well, we got Chuck checking in early, saying good evening, everyone. We've got Darren here. Thank you so much for being here, Darren. Darren says he is grateful that I finally got my rolling running. So let's just change. I love it, Darren, and that is awesome. Can we change the energy on that just a little bit? There's a part of that that's like, okay, I get it. The finally part, if we could remove that, I'm grateful that my Roland is printing, period. And see how that changes the vibration a little bit. But no, I'm super happy that is working for you. I know that can be a challenge when our tools aren't working for us. So.
When the machines are on a mind of their own.
Yes. Well, at least they haven't taken over the world yet, but it's coming.
Not
yet. Not yet. All right. Well, so you guys, again, make sure that you're sharing this. I see some more people jumping in here. So we'd love to hear what you're grateful for. But are you guys ready to dive into our topic here tonight? This concept of finding a niche, niche marketing, kind of finding your people, that kind of thing. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's start with this. Becky, can you ask, I think, maybe if we ask the folks that are tuned in to help us out here. So what's a good question we could ask people that they can get them part of the conversation here?
What is your specific niche, or what market do you serve? So I think that would help us to understand, exactly what they're seeing their niche to be.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, this is really about having a conversation, right? We get to be up here on camera, and I interrupt people all the time, but you guys can interrupt in the comments there, and we'll get to it. So that's the fun part here. Let's see here. I guess Darren talking about his rolling real quick. Like I said, I get distracted. I guess there's a Windows update, and the driver didn't like, for anyone that may run into that. Oh, awesome! Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, there was somebody else. Well, it wasn't a Roland. It was a
Sawgrass sublimation.
Yes, there you go.
Sawgrass inks weren't liking the update.
Yep. And the printer was still printing. It's just the colors were off.
Mm-hmm.
And to find out it was a Windows update, wow. Oof. So, and Yep. All right. So Chandler, Sarah says, working homeless is who I serve and donors are who I need, right? And so that can be an interesting conundrum when we're thinking about this niche marketing idea here is, okay, well, you serve this, right? But that in a way is kind of your product in your case, Sarah, right? So
Mhm.
who you work with are the donors, right? And so we're going to talk about what the donors and how we make that unique. And I know we talked a little bit about that in Fun Live, but we'll break that down some more here tonight. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. Chuck says still trying to figure out an exact niche. Okay, awesome. Well, that's hey, the fact that you're thinking about it and talking about it, that's you're on your way. So, all right. Kylie, you want to share Karen's here?
Yeah, and Karen wrote, "We serve the horse industry, all breed, all discipline, in the Northwest and Colorado, soon to be nationwide." Awesome, that's
There we
great.
go. Love it. Okay. Jerry says, I have found my passion of eBay reselling and printing on demand. So there you go. Okay.
Nice.
Interesting. Those are, I'm just trying to wrap my brain around that. Like those seem like two completely separate things, but maybe not, Jerry. So, all right, Becky, what about you? Anything that stands out for you?
Well, I've I've learned to niche down a little bit, and I know we're going to talk about that. But as a newer business owner, I'm probably still considered an infant in here, as I'm still only 5 to 6 years in. But the first few years when you want to try everything, you see it, it looks fun, it looks whatever, and it some people can do it all. I learned I could not.
Yeah.
So. I learned you needed to, just find that road and keep working that way.
No, I love it. Yeah. And I think, the first part of our discussion here, you guys, let's kind of talk about why this is something we're talking about, right? Why Chuck says, still trying to figure yours out. Becky, as you said, you're leaning into that. You're working on that. Like I said, I feel like you're leaning into it and you probably are doing more niche work than you realize, but we can talk about that. Darren says right there with you, Becky. So as you mentioned, right, newer businesses, we jump in, we've got a lot of energy, we want to basically talk to anybody who will listen. I actually had an opportunity to sit down with a young man last night that's getting started as a financial planner, wealth management person. And, he obviously wanted to sit down so he could pitch me, but, we were just kind of getting to know each other a little bit. And we sat down and just, boom, I do everything. And I was like, awesome, cool, not interested. I have no idea what you do, right? And so the cool part was we were just having a conversation. So I actually told him that, almost exactly that, actually. So I'm like, hey, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't care. And because that's the internal thing that goes on in people's head when we try to be all things to everyone. We end up being nothing to no one because of that fact, right? We go, oh, that's really interesting. I don't understand it. I don't have time to figure it out. Therefore, I don't care. Right? And I just am the type of person that will say that out loud. Most of us don't say that out loud. So let's start there, right? So Darren says, I'm leaning into firefighting niche. That's awesome.
Nice.
Again, for those that don't know Darren, he is also a firefighter. So it makes a ton of sense, right? And, I'm lucky enough to have had conversations with Darren and trying to figure out, why I wanted to avoid, so really, really cool that he's leaning into that.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck says, I'm in the same boat, Becky, chasing the next thing. There's a really good point. Let's talk about that. Can I throw that to you guys? Whoever has a point to make on the whole concept of chasing the next thing.
Kylie, do you have something?
Yeah. I mean, really, when you're doing that, all that momentum you've built to share what you're doing, and then you go and chase the next thing. Now your customer's really kind of confused. They're like, do you still do the other thing? They kind of lost that connection point with you.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to the clarity of it.
Yep. For sure.
Yep.
Right.
And that's, I mean, when I started, I started with my Cricut. And if everybody knows my story, I started with a Cricut and, started with shirts, and then I added sublimation because I'm like, oh, that'd be cool, and it makes amazing stuff. I love it. I don't love to do it.
Yes, there we go.
So, I mean, I love to see the things come out. But man, there is a technique to it and a lot of trial and error. And I had more mess ups sitting on my shelf than whatever. And of course, every time you see one of those mess ups, it just mentally hit me anyways, that man, I screwed up. So I didn't really want to stare at those forever. And I just say, what has she got there?
I just putting it up for Darren because
Okay.
Darren's over on YouTube and I want to make sure he saw
gotcha.
it. I have no idea what that is personally. So.
Okay. So for me, sublimation, I mean, especially on clothing, and that was mostly, shirts, apparel is exactly what my customers were looking for from me. And to do sublimation on shirts, I found out in a very fast hurry that was definitely not my thing. And even the cups and the garden flags and some of that stuff, it just wasn't, I love them. I love seeing them. I have a cupboard full of coffee cups because I love them so much, but it's not my thing. Yeah. So that was for me. I chased that dream, chased that next thing. It wasn't even a dream. It was the next thing because I thought it would add to my business, and it did to a certain degree. And I have people ask once in a while, and now my answer is yes, I can do that. But I'm not doing it. I don't tell them that. I'm not doing it. Sure. I have people for that. Yeah. So I reach out to my network of people, and I have, those that are in my network that do the sublimation. I can have them help me do those orders and either pass them right along and I stay out of the middle, or, be that middleman and help them get that order taken care of. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you guys are exactly right. I mean, ultimately for me, it's the idea of when you're chasing the next thing. Again, like Kylene talked about the confusion, Becky, like you talked about, right? You can do it, but are you good at it? Do you like to do it? Right? I mean, ultimately, if you don't like doing it, you're not that good at it. You're never going to be profitable at it, right? So there's the other problem when chasing the next big thing. And then the other part that stands out for me is you never become the best at it, right? Like people want to get value, and we equate value with, the best, right? I want somebody that does it the best, whether that's whatever their niche is, whether that's the fastest, the best, the most quality, whatever, right? But there is some level of expertise there. And when I mean, I've done this myself, right? You go, okay, well, yeah, I mean, heck, I'm in the printing industry. I could figure that out, right? Well, if there's not that much business for it and you're just trying to figure it out one at a time, you're never going to get a process together. Therefore, you're never going to be profitable. And it just, you're constantly chasing, right? And then you're always behind and learning new lessons all the time that you don't really need to learn if you just stuck with what you were good at, what you like to do, that kind of thing. So.
And that's where I think Jerry's comment here is in the past, a guy we all know introduced many types of new equipment. I thought I needed most of it, but really never mastered most of it. And that's how I was feeling too. I needed all the next best tools and stuff, and yet learned that I wasn't mastering them.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like my sewing machine, Aaron.
Yeah. When I'm trying to get Kylene to do something else. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Anybody need a brand-ish new? It's come out of the box twice?
Yeah.
I can't say much there, Aaron, because I have an embroidery machine sewing machine combo machine that got used a little bit initially, and now has sat in a box for a very long time. So
all right.
There's that.
All right. Cool.
Yep.
All right. I got to see what Doug said here. I'm currently training intelligent officers, which feeds the teacher in me. I'm soon going back to big projects and developing a property in the Caribbean, which feeds the megalomaniac in me. All right. Well, he knows what his strengths are. I love that, Doug. And then Karen says, what I struggle with is the funds to pay other people to do things I don't like to do or want to do. However, I can't do it all. So balancing the revenue with expenses, ongoing challenge. Yeah. And sometimes you got to figure it out. Right. And occasionally you're just going to have to say no to those projects then if you can't do it. And, but but yeah, it can be a balancing act. Darren says my sewing machine is still in the box.
Yeah, I'm not alone.
Yep, you're not alone.
You and Ben.
Can I comment back there on Karen's a little bit?
Yeah,
with
sure,
the
too,
struggle
please,
to
yeah.
find things. Sorry. So I have a couple people that are local for me, that one for lasering and the other one for sublimation. And I've just reached out to them, and we kind of have worked out a deal to, we have our prices set. And if I take the order and they do it, then I get 20%. I mean, so I get something for having handled the order, but I don't need to, because I'm not the one doing it. So I don't need to double my prices or anything like that. But you need to get something for handling the invoice, and that's where I said too, that sometimes it's better to just pass that customer right to that next person that does it. And you just have a good working relationship with the other people that do it. So that when those people don't do, say, my shirts, they're going to send their customers, or they're going to come to me for those shirts.
Sure.
So it's just that back and forth. So it's not so much the struggle to pay for them, because I'm not paying for them. I'm just going to make a commission off them, because it's not even wholesaling, but that's how I work mine, Karen. So hopefully that maybe would help you a little bit.
Yeah. And I know, Karen, in your situation, it's, the services, right? Like outsourcing an accountant or things like that.
Right.
But I also know that Karen does get creative, right? She has some people that she works with that's on a structure that's not, hey, I pay you, you do the work kind of thing too. So like you, Becky, right? You figure out the relationships, you figure out the processes that work, whether that's an affiliate kind of program, whether, exactly. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Sarah, we'll bring it with tomorrow. We're going to see Sarah tomorrow. All right. Well, okay. So one of my favorite marketing people that I love following, I love learning from, is a gentleman named Seth Godin. So take a look at Seth's work. Go find his blog. I actually think his blog is actually Seth.com. If I remember right. It's like, I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive that you have that blog. But anyhow, one of my favorite quotes of his is, selling to people who actually want to hear from you is more effective than interrupting strangers that don't. All right, so just let that thought sink in for just a second, right? Selling to people who actually want to hear from you, ideal customers, niche, etc., is more effective meaning easier, less expensive, less time consuming than interrupting strangers who don't care about what you do. Right? Like, so it's that idea of like, oh, I do everything, blah, let me throw up all over everybody and hopefully somebody wants to buy from me. I'm being dramatic, but that's kind of the idea here. So anything that stands out for you guys from that quote there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I mean, your feedback that you're going to get if you're just talking to anyone who doesn't want to hear from you, you're going to think that your message isn't right, or your product isn't good, whatever. You're going to get this negative feedback, but really it's because you're just not talking to the right people. You're not clear about who it is that you're serving.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really a powerful quote for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Becky, anything else?
No, I agree completely with what Kylene was saying there, that it's, it's hard to talk to people that don't want to hear from you. So,
but unfortunately that's what we do a lot of times, right? Will you buy my product? Will you buy my product? Will you buy my product? I'm like, A, I don't know what your product is. B, no. Okay. Like, it's hard. Right? So Karen says, Becky, it's a great idea. I do have an amazing team. I work that kind of deal with my web guy. I work with contractors, no employees. It's worked well for me. So there you go. Exactly. And Becky says, that's what I do with the plasma cutting. I have a guy, hence why I need to sell mine. There you go.
I have a sublimation printer for sale too.
Yeah, there you go. I know most of us have a lot of toys that, yep. Well, okay. So I'm sorry. I'm reading Karen's message to myself in my brain, so I might as well just read out loud here. Karen, yes, but you have to figure out who those people are. People sadly don't tell you they don't want your services. They just don't respond. I've had people tell me finally that I'm just busy and keep bugging me, right? Yep, absolutely. And so it is that fine line, but they don't respond, typically an indicator that they don't want your services, right? That's a hard thing to understand, but again, yes, most of us just go delete the email, send it to spam, whatever, and move on, right? So, okay. Okay, so Sarah says, well, and you feel like a waste of time for both parties if you reach out to people that don't want to hear from you. There you go. So I like that, Sarah. All right, sorry, I'm reading and got brain going the other way. What before I keep going, Becky, Kylene, I want to make sure I leave space for you because I'm on a roll here.
Keep going.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep
great.
going. So to me, then this really tells me, okay, you need to find who your ideal customer is. And ideal is such a key word. And you'll hear me use that over and over again. A lot of times, not just when I'm talking about niche marketing, but who's your ideal customer, right? And I think that there are 4 areas here that we need to be aware of when we're thinking about our ideal customers. First and foremost, and this is the simple thing, like, who do you love doing business with, right? Like, we all have the people. If you've been in business for any length of time, you've probably done business with somebody where you're like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need their money anymore. Right.
Mhm.
My guess, that's just a guess. Becky, have you ever had somebody like that you could probably do without in your life?
Yes.
Okay.
There's
Maybe you
customers out
still
there like
have
that. Yes.
somebody on your customer list occasionally that shows up like that, right? Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Kylene, you?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So we need to think, okay, well, who do we, right? Okay, well, there's that person I don't want to do business with. So what's the opposite of that, right? What about the people I do love doing business with, right? My other guess for people that have maybe been in business for a little while have done a project where they were so excited, they loved doing what they did, they couldn't wait to do it again, right? And that person, if that person were to call them back, it'd be like, oh, awesome, I can't wait. I get to do business with Becky again, that kind of thing. So first and foremost, right, the simple way to find your ideal customer is, who do you love doing business with, right? So, Kylene, do you have like a profile of somebody you love doing business with?
Yeah, I do, and I know it because after I work with them, I have that feeling of excitement, and that I actually was able to share my services. But it is working moms. Really. Are my ideal, who are feeling the overwhelm. And so helping them to calm their mind, strengthen their body, and find that center again to thrive. That's truly, if I had my ideal customer, but we'll talk about it later, but
no, I love that.
Something else, but yeah.
And the thing that you said in there, before I get to Becky here, you said it's about that feeling, right? And I think that's what the challenge is we have a hard time putting language to our feelings, but in a way that's what we're doing here. And we're picking out our ideal customers, we're trying to put language to those feelings. What causes those feelings? What makes them unique, right? So Becky, any other thoughts there?
I'm still working on mine.
Okay. All right.
That was the one part from Fun Live that I did not finish. That's been on my to-do list for a while. So,
right.
I mean, I have the general. I'm not near as
I was going to say
as Kylene, but I have a general. But every time I feel like I had tried to niche that down a little bit, then I felt like I was missing a whole section. So, that mine has stayed fairly general, a little bit broader than maybe it needs to. But yes, I mean, I can look, if I go back and look through all the orders and stuff that I've done, I can definitely pick out the ones that were way more fun to do than others, or how that customer helped me or handled me or how it went. So,
Yep.
Well, Becky, just so you know, it took me a long time to get there too. Just because you're like afraid to like
miss something.
Yeah.
It's the part of feeling like you're going to miss the order.
Yes.
Of help, and I'm a people pleaser and I'm a helper.
Yep.
So I want to help. And so I know that's part of it. But I mean, just from where I've started to where I've gotten, I know I've niched down.
Yes.
Big time for that.
We see it. I see it. So,
and I know I can do a better job of even doing it a little bit further.
Sure.
There's some orders that I take that I probably should be saying no to, that I just not. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
There's circumstances. So
When they get painful enough, then you'll stop,
they
right?
will.
But
Yeah.
yeah. But and I think, well, let me hit on the other couple, but I think what you guys are talking about is exactly spot on to this whole thing, right? Because when we think about this idea of niching down or determining who our ideal customers are, that is the fear. That is the thing that keeps us from it is, well, what if I lose the sale? What if I don't get the right? But the reality is this is the opposite of that, right? It's not about limiting who you do business with. This is about limiting who you're attracting to you, right? And so you're instead, when we focus down on a single niche, then we are actually attracting the right customers, and we're attracting them with clarity of what it is that we want to do, right? So let me tell you guys a quick story. A friend of mine, his name is Brett Bowden. He owns a company called Printed Threads. He came on my podcast, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 years ago. It was a while back that he told this story in the podcast. And he was talking about the power of really focusing on your niche. And so for those of you that know Brett, you'll agree with me on this. Brett is like, if you looked up the definition of a band guy in the dictionary, you're almost guaranteed to see his picture next to it, right? He's got long hair. He's always wearing cool clothes. He's just a cool guy, right? Like, I'm like, man, that guy's cool. I want to be his friend, right? And luckily I am. So his company, again, is called Printed Threads. And he's a band guy. He set out when he started his company that his whole goal was to work with mid-size bands, small to mid-size bands who wanted to have the same merch as big bands, but couldn't afford the minimums and all that other stuff. So he wanted to give everybody the access to awesome merch that was a band, right? And he did that with gusto. That was their story all along. The people that they hired were in the same vein, I'm sure they jammed once a day at work. I'm just guessing. I don't know that part to be sure, but it was all about the band situation, right? And yeah, they were printing t-shirts and doing merch and stuff like that, but that wasn't what they talked about, right? What they talked about was the band stuff. And they got so good at doing what they did that they then started attracting people outside of the band world. So the Dallas Mavericks, which is the professional basketball team there, came to him and said, hey, we want to do a project that's a little bit more rock and roll, has a little bit more of a rock and roll feel to it. We heard you guys are like the rock and roll, the band guys. So can you do a 10,000 piece order? And they're like, we'll figure it out. And so I just asked him about 6 months or so ago, because I used this in the book. So I guess it was about 8 months ago or so, this story in my book. I said, do you guys still print for the Mavericks? And he's like, absolutely. Yeah, we still do a ton of stuff for the Mavericks, right? So it didn't limit who he was doing business with. He didn't say no to somebody that was outside of a band. He just got so good in that space that he started attracting people that wanted that look and feel, right? So even to this day, if you go to their About Us page, the people in the picture of the employees, I'm like, dude, they're all in a band. There's no way they're not. So they've stayed true to their niche, and it's been really good for them. So I love that story, so I tell it a lot, but because it's just, I think it just hits the nail on the head of why we want to do this, but why it's also not going to limit the amount of business that we're going to do. So I guess the other part of the story, unless you guys have something to share there before I finish out this idea of why, we talked about already, as a new business, we want to jump in. We want to talk to anybody who'll listen, but you will spend 80% of your time dealing with 20% of your customers, right? It's the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. It won't be exactly that, but it'll be somewhere in that realm, right? And that's the negative side of the Pareto principle, right? So your pain in the ass customers, excuse my language, but the PETA customers are going to take up about 80% of your time. And that's only going to be about the bottom 20% of your customers. Now, the flip side of this, the positive side, is 20% of your customers, that top 20%, is going to make up 80% of all of your revenue, right? But you're over here spending all of your time with those PETA customers. And so you're focused on them. Instead of what you should be focused on is that ideal customer that makes up that top 20%. Those are your ideal customers, right? And the benefit of that is means that you're going to be doing business work, projects, whatever it is that you call it. It's going to be doing stuff that you enjoy. The jobs that you do, the work that you do is going to be more profitable for you. You're going to be more efficient at it. So it's going to take you less time to do. And you're going to know all the ins and outs of making them happy. And then a bigger bonus is that same top 20% who are your ideal customers. They love doing business with you just as much as you love doing business with them. And therefore, they become your best salespeople, and they're attracting new people for you without you having to do anything. So I just, you can't argue with me that going and focusing on a niche is a bad thing for a business. So what do you guys think? Am I crazy or what?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it with yoga. The people that have been with me the longest, they share it. And I'm so appreciative of them sharing and helping me grow. With, we only are so big. And then, I mean, what a better review than having your customers share with other people and sending work your way. And I mean, that's awesome.
Yep. 100%. All right. Let me get Karen's, and then, excuse me. She says, we have an embroidery lady that works mostly in the horse industry. She comes to the expos, has everyone's logos, and it's all the work she can keep up with, right? Exactly. She knows her customers. She's leaning into it, right? She's going to the expos. She's hanging around with those kind of people. Darren, right? Like Darren's a fireman, right? He knows what they need. He knows what makes them unique, why they need something different than what some regular person that would provide program to him might not know, because they're not as intimately involved in the fire industry as Darren is, right? So yeah, those types of stories are what makes, again, just solidifies my point here, I believe. So all right, Becky, anything else before we take a quick break?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay. All right, well, let's take a quick break here, because I don't know. I keep saying that we haven't officially announced it, but then when I said that on Two Regular Guys, I realized I probably had said that somewhere else. So I'm not going to say this is the official announcement, but we haven't talked about it here yet, I don't think. If maybe we did, and it was just kind
of. I think it was a very quick passing.
Okay. So official, all the details. Here we go. The Fundamentals Live event is back and better than ever. Our last event was a huge success, and we're always striving to improve. This time, we've made it even more exclusive with only 10 seats available, and we've extended it to be even more valuable. Fundamentals Live is scheduled for October 10th through the 12th, 2024 in St. Louis, Missouri. Details can be found at osg.link/funlive. If you know it's time to transform your business from have to into get to, if you're ready to be more fulfilled and take back control of your business and life, this is the experience you need. October 10th through the 11th, you will put the fundamentals into action and walk away with a blueprint to manage a business that truly fulfills you. If you are feeling overwhelmed and undervalued, reach out to me and let's talk about what villains are holding you back. Don't wait to sign up for Fundamentals Live. October 10th through the 12th is the time you need to come together with other like-minded business owners. I have personally seen the clarity, confidence, and fulfillment this experience will bring you, and we want you to be a part of that. Don't let your hesitation stand between you and the success that you deserve. Reserve your seat today at osg.link/funlive. We'll see you in October. All right.
See you in October.
See you in October. Exciting stuff, you guys. What, like I said, I've personally seen several people. Allison had a quote up there about what it did for her, and watching how she's really grown since June, like blows me away. Obviously, you guys were involved in it. Sarah, who's here in the comments, what she's doing with her project, the grace period. I got it this time. I have this mental block with the name of her organization. So I'm working on it, Sarah, I promise. Anyhow, what any other thoughts about it before we get into the second part of this?
I'll go ahead, Becky.
Mine is just the networking of people and the connection that you get. And I love a good virtual training too, but there's really nothing can compare to the in-person. And with us keeping it to the small 10 intimate, having the intimate setting with only 10 people, it's very personalized. It's your business that you're working on. We're not trying to force feed you a system that's cookie cuttered for everybody. Your, what we're teaching is going to be totally for your business.
Yep.
So,
Yep. But Karen says there's nothing like in person, right? And
absolutely.
Sarah says, "Yay, so proud." Yep, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're spot on, Becky. I mean, and that's why I think we were so excited about it in June, was that we knew that, yeah, we've got a structure, yeah, right? We've got the fundamentals, we've got some things that we can work from, but until you can get in there and really experience all the things we were able to experience together, it's really hard to kind of, I mean, you have to work really hard on your own to put all those pieces together. And in the span of 2.5 days, we get it all put together, right? You have the experiences. You guys can back me up on this. It's not me standing in front of a stage going, here's the information, good luck, right? It's, we introduce a concept and then we do the work together, and everybody's there to support. It's, I mean, I'm super excited.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that it's a safe place to be vulnerable, because sometimes we're stuck because we don't want to share what we're really feeling and thinking and why we're stuck. And so sometimes when you're in that safe, intimate space, with 10 people, when you break off into smaller groups, even sometimes, you're able to have those breakthroughs that are so powerful for your business.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Because business is really, obviously, there's certain nuts and bolts things, your own numbers, pricing, all that kind of fun stuff. But the internal, the emotions, the limiting beliefs, the understanding why we're doing it, right? Those are deeper things. Those are feeling things that, again, if you're not in person or really kind of digging into it more one-on-one-ish or really deep, it's hard. It's hard to get to on your own. So, So,
I mean,
go ahead.
Yep. I'll leave that up there too. But plus having, coming to that space, you're blocking, you're not worried about what the kids need for supper. You don't need to know who needs to go to the dentist that day, or, whatever. You've set aside the time for yourself and your business to learn and grow and have that time. And so you can pretty much disconnect for a few days. And I think that's, you're focused on the business. You don't have that list of 15 things running through your head trying to come up with what needs to happen next. You're only worried about what we're working on there. So, and this is from Sarah. She said, I've done more with my business since fundamentals than I have in the last 2 years because of the tools that I was given and the accountability for myself I have now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's beautiful.
It is awesome.
We'll need to clip that one for another.
I agree. All right. So before we dive into the second half of this here, Karen reminded me, don't forget to give us the 4 things. I got excited and went off on a tangent, right? So just real quick, the 4 things that make an ideal customer. We talked about it. Somebody you love doing business with. That was number 1. They connect with your missions and values, right? Again, probably why you love doing business with them. They're profitable. Profit's not a dirty word. And last but not least, quality over quantity, right? You want to actually do business with less people and make more money than doing business with hundreds of people and making little bits of money from them. So what you think you need for customers is probably much smaller than if you were focused on ideal customers. So quality over quantity. All right. So there we go. All right. Well, second half of this. Okay. So I think we're hopefully on board with this idea of finding a niche and what we need to do. So I guess, Becky, I'm going to ask them an engagement question here. I want people to be typing in the chat. If you don't focus on a niche, do you have a reason, or you just haven't found it yet, right? I know we talked to some folks that just haven't found it yet, and that's fine. There's no wrong answers, by the way. You don't have to just because we're talking about it. If you do focus on a niche, though, we'd love to know, are you seeing benefits from it, right? Or have you seen any detriments from it? Are there any blind spots that we might be missing that you've noticed as you've been more focused on a niche, right? So anything that you guys want to add to that real quick while we're asking them those questions? No? Okay.
I think, the reason maybe why people aren't there again comes back to that. You're scared to leave anyone out or not do everything for everyone.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Really good point. All right. Well, I guess so. Let's dive into you guys talking about how we might pinpoint our niche, and then what do we do with that information, right?
Mhm.
So, and I'd love to, again, Becky. I know you're kind of. I think it's perfect because you are in the middle of it, right? In a way. Again, like I said,
Living it.
I feel like I see it a little bit more maybe than you do, but
Mhm.
um, let's so maybe you can play along too as we go if that works. So uh let's talk about this first and foremost. Let me take care of somebody here real quick. See you. Peace out. Okay, so let's talk about categories, right? So when we talk about a niche, right, most of us want to kind of go, okay, how do I find it, and let me just put it into one neat bucket. But here's the part about niche and finding a niche that I think people miss is that there's really probably 5 categories, 5 buckets, maybe a little bit more, but 5 that I've found. And you can kind of pull your niche out of one of those 5 buckets, categories. Most likely it'll actually be a combination of different kinds of, oh yeah, almost like a slot machine, right? Oh, this wheel, this wheel, this wheel, this wheel, let's get them all lined up as 7s across the board. And when we look at that, right, what I've found is most people actually probably have a combination of all 5 buckets. So with that thought in mind, and does that make sense at all? Is that making sense as we talk about this?
It does to me because I can see the 5 categories on my side of my screen, but it might not to anybody else.
All right.
Well said, Becky.
So well, then let me give the categories to everybody else here, and then we'll see if it makes sense to them too. All right. So the first category, first bucket, whatever you want to call it, would be just the type of customer, right? These are the very specific type of customer that you serve, not some broad group, right? Not all things, right? Not anybody that's got money in their wallet, not even sports teams, right? That's even still a little bit too broad, right? What I'm looking for is you to come down with, like, get it into one really specific group. So here's a good example. I was talking about this at a seminar in Atlantic City 3-4 years ago, and a young lady was really struggling with this idea, and she kept kind of going, well, I work with animal people, pets, right? That kind of thing. And she just happened to have this stuffed animal sitting on the desk in front of her, right? And in a business environment, most people don't have a stuffed animal with them. So I knew that was something, but I kind of avoided it until this point. And I just had this light bulb moment to, like, ask her about that stuffed animal. And so I said, okay, well, what's the stuffed animal in front of you? And she's like, oh, it's a hedgehog. I'm really involved in hedgehog rescue. And, this is our mascot, and this is what I love doing. And this is, ultimately, she basically was explaining to me why she started her business was that. And so I'm like, boom, there you go. Light bulb. Hedgehogs, or at least rescues, if you can get down to that. I mean, heck, I would go down as far as hedgehogs, but maybe you're not comfortable there yet. So get down to rescues and supporting them, right? So that's the specific type of customer. So that's number 1. Any questions on that? Good. Okay. If I'm not making sense, it's up to you guys, because you interrupt me to stop me. Okay, we'll do that.
Karen was waiting for the suspense for us to.
yes, Karen, the suspense. We still built it. All right. So that's number 1. Number 2, techniques, right? And this is just a kind of a summarized way of saying, what are you really good at, and what do you enjoy doing? Right, Becky, you talked about that, right? The shirts and stuff like that. Sublimation you liked, but it wasn't something that you were really good at or really liked doing. So that technique really didn't fit for you. So
I liked
you weren't
the
out there
end
trying to
product.
sell.
I didn't like getting there.
Yeah. Exactly. So again, and it could be as much as like I hate doing, hate's a strong word, I know, but it really is that bad. Sublislates, the slate products and sublimation. And I love sublimation, like everything sublimation except for that. Right? So, we stopped doing that a long time ago. So techniques, what are you really good at doing? It also could be something like, okay, I'm really efficient and I can do wholesale stuff, but I'm not so interested in going out and doing all the marketing and selling. That could be a technique, right? So that could kind of identify who your ideal customers are. sublimation is just a decorating technique, Karen. We don't need to get into it. You don't need to worry about it. It's how we made this cup right here. Right. That's how I made this cup. Okay. So that's 2. Number 3 is technology. This could be, maybe you've got a tool or a process that you've created or that you have access to that really helps your potential ideal customers. And because it helps them, it also then helps you define your niche. So, Becky, I know you do web stores, for example, right? That's technology. You have access to that and your customers need that. So your ideal customers might be people that need a web store, right? So what makes them unique is based on the technology that you can provide to them. Okay. That's number 3. Number 4 is service. All right. What's unique about your service? And this could even be something as simple as proximity, location, right? I deal with people in my local area, therefore I'm available to them, right? Yeah, Amazon, you think you're quick in 2 days? I can get it done today, right? That's the location. So you can define your niche inside of that little bucket there too, from what services. Maybe you really like the designing aspect of it. Maybe it's the people side of it, right? So service can be another bucket that you can kind of pull from. And then last but not least, if there's no other questions here, is what I would consider the marketing bucket. And all this is just, it's your brand, right? Your brand might be part of it, right? Maybe you provide a lot of educational content and your ideal customers are interested in that. Maybe you've just got you've built your brand, you're such a well-known personality or well-known brand in your area, in your space, whatever. And therefore that's part of who your ideal customers are, people that are interested in your brand. Quick story. I know we're going to go long today, but can I tell another quick story? Quick.
Yep.
Okay. Guy named Johnny Cupcakes. Go look him up. He sells 2-color, pretty simple t-shirts for $35 a piece, limited edition, and they sell out. And he's had people lined up around the block trying to get into his store. When he started, he built this brand that they were kind of playing like they were a bakery, right? So they had shirts stuffed in little cupcake boxes. He took like vanilla air fresheners and stuffed them in the air vents, and he got a bunch of old ovens and used those to display the products. And so that's the Johnny Cupcake name. And his brand became so well known that people actually have a tattoo of his logo on their body, right? So there's another way to define it. All right. So those 5 buckets, pull out from there who your ideal customers are. What questions do you have? Go.
There's definitely, I mean, you're saying, pull from each one of those or whatever. I believe that there are different parts of that would make your niche work. I mean,
it could just be pulling from 1 or 2 of the buckets. It could be pulling from 3 of the buckets, could be pulling from all 5 of the buckets, but somewhere along the way, you're going to be able to whittle that ideal customer down to who, like having a conversation with one person. That's the idea. Yeah. So, all right. What else? Kylene,
and apologize to anybody that's not in the decorating world that's watching or listening to this that doesn't know sublimation. So we apologize for that part of it.
It's irrelevant to the conversation here, right?
It is.
But we
apologize
use it as
that
an
we
example.
assumed you knew.
yeah, for sure. My bad. All right, Kylene, any questions about that?
No, I mean, I think it's nice to have it kind of broken down like that into different categories, because sometimes that'll help trigger you to pull something out if you're really feeling kind of lost as far as where to get even started on that.
Yeah. Good.
Like
Okay.
That.
Yep. In a short time to hit those kind of 5 buckets, that's the best I'm going to do. All right. So Sarah says, I think my inner niche is that I've done the program myself and have been through working homeless, so it keeps my residents involved. I just need to figure out how to use my life for the donors. Yep. And I think, again, well, Sarah, I'm just going to give you this because it just showed up for me and it's right here. The donors are you, right? Because in a way you're donating, right? You're like, somebody that has that same level of altruism, interested in providing for others, being a part of it, wants to see people, get help, but be willing to lift themselves up as well. Right. And so I think that can help you kind of get down and define who your person is. Does that help?
I think too for Sarah, she's like, huh? I
hope I
think,
didn't make her more confused.
but I think your story, Sarah, is what is going to attract those donors, because you came from that spot and you are now winning. You are above, you've graduated out of that program and you are being very successful. And I think that's part of the story that your donors are going to want to hear about too. And know that, for putting back, like Aaron too then was saying, to put back into that program.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, because you see the importance of what you're doing. People who have been through something similar will understand that importance as well. Not that other people can't donate, right? It's just that's who you can focus on.
Yeah. I think, again, that's a really important point that you're making there, Kylene, too, is we're not trying to limit who's going to be, doing business with us, right? What we're trying to do is focus our message to attract the right kind of people. And if that attracts other people, great. As long as that's worthwhile for you to do business with them, for you to take donations from them, right? You're not going to be beholden to them, then do it. But this is really more a conversation about how do we attract more of the customers that we want to attract. And because once we understand who our ideal customer is, who this niche is, then that's when we can talk about the next part of it here real quick. And the limited amount of time we have left is then what do we do with that information, right? So Sarah said, I've never thought of it in that way. You are exactly right. And then Sarah says, right, I'll take all the donations. That's not a problem. This is about what your story is going to be, what your marketing message is going to be, who you're going to be trying to talk to. And again, that clarity and confidence in that message is then going to attract more of those types of people, and maybe even bring other people along with them, like the story of the Dallas Mavericks and, the band people, right? Sports and bands don't always go together, but in that sense it did. So, all right. Good. So let's close this up with a real quick, what do we do with this information, right? So you've kind of landed on the different categories, your bucket, kind of getting some specifics about who your ideal customer is, right? And Becky, you can certainly jump in here and just play with an example if you want to. But ultimately, like I said, it's about telling the story in your marketing message. And that ultimately becomes, okay, now that I know who that person is more specifically, now I can solve the riddle of what problem do I solve for them? Right. And that's something that I've been working on personally for our success group, right? I know who that is, but I didn't slow down enough to think, what is it the problem that I solve for them though, right? I need to meet them where they're at, right? I ultimately know how we're going to get there. We're going to build a foundation. We're going to dive into things that we do at Fun Live, all that stuff, right? But people that are in the situation that I can help, they're not there yet. They don't see that, right? They just like, I just want to get through today alive, period. Right? Becky raised her hand, right? So that's what we're trying to do is figure out then to tell that story. Why would they choose you over someone else ultimately, right? So you want to play with that real quick, Becky? I know that I'm putting you on the spot here, but
no, that's fine. I think it goes to, like, we posted on the spotlight in the Facebook group the other day, to post your business. And I chat GPT and I had a little conversation, and it helped because it narrowed it down. One of my niches is offering web stores. So I offer hassle-free web stores. So I don't even remember what I wrote now, but they don't have to handle taking the orders and handling the money and collecting it and all that stuff. I handle all that part of it. All they have to do is share a link. And then when everything's done, they help distribute. That's really all they have to do. So that's what I solve for them. It makes not having to have somebody track orders on a piece of paper and a spreadsheet and those kind of things. It can all be done through my reports and my software. So,
yep.
I love that, Becky.
There you go. Yeah. So I just pulled up what you wrote here. Apparel for your life. I specialize in hassle-free web stores for your club or team. Just share the link and we'll handle the orders and the payments, leaving you only to distribute the final products, right? And the cool part about that, Becky, is now you have such clarity of message. The people that have that challenge know exactly what you're saying because they feel that challenge, right? They feel those things. And not once did you say a darn thing about shirts.
Nope.
Right? You're not talking about the product. And that's what happens to most of us, right? If you're selling shirts, or Karen, you're selling advertising, or Chandler, you're inviting donations, right? You're talking about that thing. But what the people on the other side want to hear about is how you're going to solve their problem. But if you don't know who they are, how are you going to solve their problem for them? Right. And so I think once you have clarity on that, this is what gets me so excited, is because people always ask me, oh, well, what should I be posting on Facebook? And I don't know what to write in my blog, and, et cetera, et cetera. Solve that problem, figure out how to tell that story exactly like Becky did there. And what she wrote in the Facebook group there, she should just write that on her Facebook page and her blog and the emails that go out, and in the story that she tells new people that she meets. Tell that story again and again and again and again and again. I don't know how many more times you guys want me to go, but we get the point. Again,
We're here all night, Aaron.
Again. We're over an hour, so I could keep going. Keep telling that story over and over again. Yes, tweak it a little bit, say it a little bit differently. But if you guys recognize, like, when this really sunk in for me was probably, 6 months ago, about 3 or 4 months before Fundamentals Live, right? I was struggling with, like, gosh, I'm really excited about this, but people just aren't getting what we're trying to do here. And I had that light bulb moment myself where it's like, I want to help people fall in love with their business, right? But their problem is that they're overwhelmed, they're undervalued, and therefore I need to talk about that, right? And so ever since then, that's kind of what I've been talking about. It's getting better, and I'll get better at it each time. But if you notice, the same story is pretty much told over and over again with little tweaks to what maybe it's the tweak to the program, the offer, the message, the starting point, this light bulb went off. And so, but it's still the same story over and over again. All right, Becky, Kylene, I don't know why I couldn't come up with my wife's name. That was weird. Sorry. What do you guys think about all this?
I mean, I think it's huge. I remember going through this with you. I think it was last summer when I really got some clarity on it.
Yeah.
And I was getting so mad at you because you kept asking more, but why? Like, what does that even mean? And I was like, oh my God, like, it was so hard. But once I got there, I mean, you have that light bulb moment, you have that clarity, and you're able just to share your services with the right people and clear. I mean, people understand what you do instead of all the different things you could do. They really understand your whole mission again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Becky, what about you?
Totally agree. I'm still learning that I'm, just right there, the web stores. I think my fear is, could I do just the web stores? I'm still working on that part of it. Now, as I sit here and think about all the ones that I have coming, I mean, we're working on several web stores. I think I have 4. There's 4 open right at the moment. Yeah. So I know I can niche down to that.
And let me just remind you, and I know you know this, but I know that sometimes that fear of missing out, right? The FOMO gets in the way, clouds this, like, we know it, but we can't get over it, right? And so I think that's where you're at. Just to guess. This has nothing to do with the fact that you're only going to do web stores, right? It's going to be that your outbound message is about that, right? Somebody else is going to go, oh my gosh, that's really cool. I don't necessarily need a web store, but I love that you're there to help people and make it easier. Therefore, I know, even though I don't need a web store, Becky's going to make my life easier, right? Becky's going to do what needs to be done to make this job easier for me. Then you're going to start attracting those people, even though they might not need a web store. So I think that's a really good point that you made, to just kind of be willing to let that go. And it just takes a little bit of work. Yep. Okay. Karen says, I'm having an aha moment. This has been super helpful. I really need to narrow my focus. Yeah. Focus,
Love it, Karen.
focus, young Jedi. All right. And Sarah says, here I am months later and more light bulbs going through, right? We planted a ton of seeds in June, and that's the other side of this, right? Is when we get to have those experiences together, then we can have conversations. Now she's part of the community, right? She doesn't make shirts, she buys shirts, right? Or that kind of thing. So yeah, it's awesome. So Jerry says, took me 15 years to really fall in love with my business, maybe because it's not my business that I started back then. Very grateful that I love what I do each day.
Awesome.
Congrats, Jerry. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. So I think we covered it, right? Did we do a good job tonight?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, it was a
Good.
for as unprepared as I felt walking in today.
Yeah.
You guys give me a topic that I'm passionate about and
Yeah.
just let me go. And I appreciate you guys letting me talk a lot tonight. So
We had one
Awesome.
comment from Karen way back when. I didn't know. I'd like to at least bring it up, and then if we need to have that as another conversation in the group, we can. But she said, do you feel the business has shifted from outbound marketing to inbound marketing?
Okay. Do you guys want to answer that?
No, I want you to.
No.
So I understand the question and I understand the difference. My answer. Okay. I'm going to give you my answer, and then I'm going to say something that I don't want anybody to construe as rude, but I'm going to just, okay. So I'm setting myself up for failure right there. I do think that there's a shift, right? I do think that, yeah, we're inundated so much with so much messaging coming our way that I think we'd prefer to just be able to go and reach out to who we want when we feel that connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as marketers, it is more about inbound marketing where you just want to make yourself available, let people know that you're there, get people clarity. It's not about buy my stuff, right? So that's my safe answer. Now hopefully I'm not getting myself in trouble answer here. I think both of those terms are pointless. And I think marketing really is, regardless of whether you look at it, and I understand we need to put the labels on it so we can kind of decide which way we're going or how we're doing it. But at the end of the day, I think we just need to let go of all those labels and say, share your gifts, what you do to the right people over and over again. Let them know that you're available for them. Put yourself out there. Give people an opportunity to do business with you, and you will have success. I don't think we need to complicate marketing with all of the bro style, inbound, outbound, that kind of. And again, I understand it. Just my personal opinion. So there we go. Hopefully I didn't get myself in too much trouble.
No, I think that was great. I was a little stuck on exactly how that was. That's why I wanted you to answer it.
Yeah. And I was going to answer it later to Karen,
Okay.
in that similar way, but I appreciate you putting that up there.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right.
I think it's great because I think we all feel that with the amount of emails and here, sign up for a discount to get we're texting now. Everybody's getting a text message for the marketing, and it's like, okay, I got to go get rid of some of them because they're not what I want. They're, so then I go looking for who I want. So I think there's both ways, but you have to be marketing yourself, speaking to myself here, so that people know what you do have to offer so they can find you when they are looking for you.
Yeah.
100%. All right. Well, Kylene, would you close us up here, please?
I can do that. Well, I just want to thank you guys for being here. We had a great conversation. I learned a lot again, and love hearing from you guys. It's always inspiring to connect with other entrepreneurs and just our insights that we have and experiences. We just get to grow together. So remember, we don't have to stop the conversation here. We can continue it over in the Facebook group that has a very new name. It is Entrepreneur Support Hub.
Success Hub.
Success. I had success, and I just had an argument with myself and put support, but Success Hub. So join us over there, continue the conversation. Any takeaways you have from today, any questions or anything else that might show up, join us over there in that Facebook group. It's osg.link/group.
Yep. Check that out. Real quick on the name change too. We talked about it together, but and you can see in the comments if you are in the group already, but just kind of trying to, again, meet people where they're at, understand that this is just a place to connect. It's a hub. I love that suggestion, Becky. Thank you for getting me back in the right thing. I just want to, again, try to figure out how we can, this is what I do every day, right? I'm fortunate to get to think about this type of stuff every day. So how do we bring business owners together? I think we're going to try to have a monthly roundtable discussion. So kind of like this, but we're going to actually have everybody live, and just it'll be a lot less me talking and a lot more just everybody. Hey, what's working for you right now? What's good? What are the challenges? What are some ideas? Right. So we're gonna try that. So stay tuned, and just really kind of excited. We're obviously very excited about Fundamentals Live coming up. There will be 2 other coming very soon programs that will also be fundamentals structured. So my excitement level is at an all-time high here, and that group is a great place to kind of participate. I'd love to see more people get active over there. So you have a question, something comes up, it doesn't matter. I'm always going to talk about the mindset stuff. Sorry, it's who I am. You can't change me. But we don't have to, right? We can talk, hey, I'm having this problem with my printer, Darren, right? Throw that in there. I'm not calling you out, Darren, but you know what I'm saying. So it just, the secret here is we need to take consistent, productive action daily. Whether it's tending to our mindset, like I like to do, whether it's clarifying your reason, making sure that our goals are clear, embracing focus, asking the questions, just taking those steps each day, and that will lead you to significant progress. So action beats inaction all the time. Keep the conversation going. As Kylene mentioned, head over there to osg.link/group. If you're not already a member, join. Make sure that you at least answer. We ask that you agree to the group rules. That's the only thing that we require. Everything else you can leave blank if you want. Doesn't matter. Just make sure that you do that. We have people sitting in there waiting to get in, and just haven't answered the group rules. So I feel bad for them.
Yep. And finally, let's not forget the power of our community. We're all in this together, and by sharing our experiences and learning from each other, we can all rise higher. That rising tide lifts all boats. We just really love for you to engage with us in the group here. We love having you guys comment here. That just makes my heart happy to see all the comments coming through. Yeah. And last but not least, we would love to expand our mastermind groups and add a few more people that would participate. There's so much value in those not each week, every other week, that we have those, and just the accountability and the support,
daily accountability though.
What's that?
Daily accountability.
Yes. Yep. But just the support and at the last couple of meetings I've been to, I really haven't had much for an ask, but there's still always something that comes from them. So it just that supportive network that we have there and that we're building. So we would love to see you there, and have a great week.
Sounds good. So next week, you guys, we are going to be discussing work-life balance. So, and I'm really excited about that because, as Kylene knows, and Becky does too, but not my strength, right? I love the work side.
I was just thinking I was feeling a little targeted lately, but
well, you guys can put it back on me then. Okay, I'm excited to learn. So we're gonna have a great conversation next week, though, you guys. So show up. Work-life balance. Cannot wait. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to everybody again next week.
Have a great week.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.